I'm too lazy. I don't want to make food. Look at all this stuff. Why does this one require so many more things than all my other things that I made before? That's because this one is fun. And here we are again. And this time, I'm going to be trying something non-traditional in the sense of it's not going to be a crock pot meal. So this one will be a little bit harder. You're welcome, Mr. Tumulus. I'm finally working on what you keep suggesting. So these are a burger recipe. Now what I did was similar to my queso that I made a while ago. I kind of Frankensteined 3 different recipes together for this one. So that's why there's 10,000 different ingredients here, because I needed a little bit of everything. So to start off, unfortunately, the total cost of this one was almost $70. So I could split that up by all the toppings for the burgers and the actual burger ingredients, but pretty much the burger ingredients were really expensive, mostly because you have a lot of organic stuff here. And I mean, I got a bunch of pretzel rolls, and these are like $5 for a pack of 4, so yeah. But other than that, these are basically, if I'm combining all the titles together, the juiciest ranch cheddar burgers, I guess. We got a little bit of variety, I guess. You can see some of these things. Anyway, our first step is actually preparing all the toppings, because of course those you can just do whenever you want, so I'll make sure to get those done first. That way I can put them in the fridge so they are ready for when we are complete. So I'll go ahead and start clearing these things away. So of course for our toppings, we got our onions as usual. We got some lettuce and tomato, and then I've got some sliced pickles and ketchup and mustard and, you know, all the usual stuff. So I'll just go ahead and cut these first. My arch enemy. Prepare to die. Ugh. That didn't work out very well. So for the 2 onions, I cut up the smaller one into little tiny diced pieces, because that's actually going in with the meat. These are for the toppings, so I cut those kind of, or I attempted to make them look okay, I guess. Look, it's Foxy brand. The only thing I really need to do with this is rinse them off and then peel them apart. So I'll do that later. I'm also not going to show me cutting these because I don't want to destroy them. So yeah, I'll finish these up and we will get back to it. Now that everything's prepared, I can put these away and get started on the sauce. So the sauce is pretty much, so the secret sauce, as they call it, is fairly easy. We just have these 4 ingredients here, so let me go ahead and get these measured out. We'll start off with our 3/4 of a cup of mayonnaise. And then basically just add everything else in. So we've got our 1/4 of a cup of relish, our 2 tablespoons of Westchester sauce, and last, I'll have to reuse this again for the ketchup, but another 1/4 cup. Trying to kill me. See how good I am at measuring? Doesn't want to settle down. That's a little too much. There we go, that's perfect. Just reuse this to scrape the rest in. Now we just mix everything together. And there it is, there's our sauce. Now I'll clean up all this and we will get on to the next part. Of course, one of the main ingredients for these patties is condensed milk. and the store didn't have any. So now I get to figure out how to make my own. Apparently, you just kind of simmer it over the stove for like 20 minutes, so we'll see whether or not I burn the house down. I don't know how much milk I'm supposed to use. I only need 3 tablespoons of condensed milk, so I'm just gonna guess. So here's what I hope is condensed milk. We're gonna need 3 tablespoons of this, so I will go ahead and get some of that measured out into our mix. So like I said before, this is a combination of 3 different recipes. You can see here there are way too many things for me to list off, so I'm just gonna start throwing stuff in. Hopefully this works out for the better. I guess I can talk about it a little bit. So one recipe is for the juicy burger, so that's where the breadcrumbs come in. I'm assuming that they put them in there so that they can absorb the liquids off the burger. That way it keeps them from drying out. At least that's what I think that means. So the next one is ranch burgers because I wanted to put some ranch seasoning in there, so I looked up one that had some of that. As well as our regular seasonings. And some green chili too, because of course. Now this is an interesting one. One of the ranch recipes suggested some blue cheese. I like gorgonzola cheese better. They're pretty much the same thing if you look up how they're made, just depending on what type of milk it is. And then another one wanted cheddar cheese, so I just decided with this one because it has a little bit sharper flavor, so it's good for it. If I can get this open. Last but not least, are 2 pounds of free-range ground beef. I'm gonna drain these out first, so let me go ahead and do that. All right, here we are. And at this point, I'm just gonna mix it up with my hands because I don't know if I can actually mix this with a stirring thing, but yeah. The forbidden cookie dough. So I don't have a grill, therefore I'm just gonna bake these in the oven. There's an easy instructional online that tells you that you just bake them for like 10 minutes on each side at some temperature. I don't remember, I'll have to look it up again, but go ahead and get out our cookie sheet. I don't know what size to make these, so I'm just gonna guess. So this gives us about 11. I was just kind of guessing on how big to make each one, so I think this worked out okay. Our next step is to cook them in the oven. And there are 2 ways you can do this. You can either sear them on the stove top, you can either sear them on the stove, you can sear them on the stove and then put them in the oven, or you can just put them directly into the oven. Now I like the kind of char taste that they get, so I'm gonna sear them on the stove top beforehand. So let me go ahead and get my cast iron skillet out. So we'll give it about 2 to 3 minutes on each side, and that should be good before putting it in the oven. So now that these are done being seared, we are ready to bake them in the oven. But before I do that, I want to get the buns prepared. So with me today I have pretzel rolls. I actually found them at the store. And of course, these are my favorite ever. So what I want to do with these is kind of grill them in the pan so that they have a little bit of crispy edges. You know how some of the restaurants do that. So I really like that, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So let me go ahead and get my other pan out. So at this point, I just like to put a light coating of butter on them so that they can crisp evenly all the way around. And that's about it for these. Before I start grilling the buns, I'm going to go ahead and put these in so that they can start baking. Now we just throw them in, let them grill for however long you want them. That way they can get as crispy as you'd like. Just like that. I put the burger patties in for about 15 minutes. The one recipe I found online said to put them in at 350 for 10 minutes on each side after you sear them. So I put them in for 15, that way it can heat up the pan and everything so that it gives them a little good even grill, I guess. I'm just guessing. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Don't want to cooperate. So here we have them. Soft on the underside, but perfectly crispy in the middle. Just how I like them. Now I'll let the burgers finish cooking and I will see you in a bit. All right. Which one of you did this? They're a little crumbly, so they were hard to flip, but now I'm going to put them back in for the last 5 minutes, and then they will be done. So I will see you in 5 minutes. Now that we got everything done, last but not least is the assembly. So that is officially everything. Very nice. The only thing I haven't talked about yet is this bag of potatoes, which I'm just having these as the side, so I'll be cooking those later on. But as far as all of our toppings go, feel free to pick and choose whatever you want to put on these. You don't have to use any of these technically. But you can also see I have an egg here that I'm gonna put on top of it because I bought the 12 pack, but I only needed one for the recipe, so I can use the rest as toppings. I'm gonna go ahead and get all this assembled, so I will see you in a bit. So, I may have overdone it a little, because I don't know if I can fit all of that in my mouth. Anyway, looks pretty good though. I'm excited to try this. It looks really awesome. I hope you enjoyed this. Feel free to try it out. Thanks. Oh.